invincible.
Audacity.
Kirk is not an attorney. This is not legal advice. This is to be considered for educational purposes only.
Welcome to the call-in show, otherwise known as Kirk, Chris, and Ted's Excellent Adventure Call-in Show, with your host, Kirk Pendergrass. Oh, maybe I should turn this up. There we go. How are you tonight?
Doing pretty good. How is everybody?
Awesome. How you guys doing tonight?
Fantastic.
Not too freaking bad. All right, man. Ante.
Whoops.
So what's the plan for tonight?
I don't know. What is the plan for tonight?
It looks like you have one caller.
Well, looks like we had started with Monday night going over the general impact of what Sessions has done, but how we actually got to this point. You know, this goes back to, you know, when you're doing something that you normally do, you don't expect normal results. Well, I expected to get to the powers that be. I didn't expect the result that I got, but anyway, it is what it is. So that's the hilarious part of it all. You know, this kind of boils down to, they said, okay, well, you're right about this, and this, so we canceled it. Now what do we do? So I said, okay, well, now it's time to start holding some people accountable. So I wrote the indictment.
Yeah.
And the funny part is of the three cases, mine, the Texas case, and the Utah case has already gone indictment. So, you know, it's like, well, we're pretty much already halfway there. Now we got to go back and I got to start over again because because of that whole monopoly fiasco. And but you know, hey, it is what it is. You don't.
It is what it is.
Yeah, you're not going to hit a home run every time you go up to bat. So you know, sometimes it takes 3 or 4 or 5, 6 trips up to bat before you get one.
Yeah, you know, it's a learning curve, and it all depends on whose lap your paperwork ends up in.
Pretty much. But it also depends on the clarity. I mean, you know, some things that we think are pretty specific, they say, well, that's vague. Well, how is on this date this happened vague? You know, it's just like,
yeah. What part of it's unclear to you?
Yeah. I mean, you need to, you know, what do I do? Do I motion to clarify? Do I sit here and raise my hand? You know, teacher, can I speak? You know, I mean, and that's where a lot of people are, you know. When you roll back over this sucker and you think, well, we've got the arrogance of the people that built this monstrosity, and I'm not going to play political stupidity games, but we all know who they are. They know who they are. They thought they were farther ahead than they actually were. Now they have to stand here and answer for the crap that they pulled. because the crap that they were trying to pull didn't fly, didn't go over well.
Right.
So,
oh, am I on yet?
I heard somebody. Who was that?
That's Ante. I don't know why. You're here, so you can listen. So yeah, I guess you're here.
So what's up, dude? How's that timeline coming?
Oh man, I'm getting past 1998, and I got 99 to go, and then there's going to be like a 7-year gap.
That's all right.
And, yeah. So it's one of those things because I'm going by their own docket.
That's right. And in those years, we just say nothing new to report, and so on. So
yeah. Look, law-abiding citizen. Anywhere else but this place.
right.
What a coincidence. Everywhere else in the world says I'm a law-abiding citizen, but Ohio.
God.
And what a coincidence. It's all from the same freaking city and county.
Yeah, right.
Well, I just go back to the root cause here. This is every single court in the land. This isn't just the family law courts. This is affecting our entire entire government. Our form of government has been hijacked. And,
hijacked by a hostile entity that wants to subdue the American people.
Yeah,
all three branches of government have been intermingled, and they're colluding together, and it's just a mass fraud.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's funny because when we work the check and balance mechanisms, which have been obscured, and there are multiple check and balance mechanisms. It's just the funny part is those are the things that we have, some of the stuff has yet to be even tried. And when you start to invoke those check and balance mechanisms, they're like, they're trying to defend against stuff that is still strong, and they're so weak because they've never had to defend against it. But, the best part is it's designed to make a hostile government fail. So if push comes to shove, the forefathers were smart enough to realize that they constructed the government, if it did ever become tyrannical, to fail. There was no way for it to remain, at least in the long term, the way it is now. So we need to we're making the ultimate decision. Do we want to stay with what we've got, or do we want to change to something else? Well, people came out and said, well, we want our Constitution. We're going to keep it, right? Unlike, the whole Obamacare thing. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Well, we see how that worked out. But we're gonna keep our Constitution whether they like it or not. So that's where we went in and cited these bills of attainder, which is their guidance documents, as what they are, bills of attainder.
Yeah.
So,
man, I'll tell you, I went to court this morning, and got to sit in on the contempt for failure to pay child support.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's odd here, or funny, winky dink, I get there and I'm like, oh, well, this is my family law judge.
No.
So, and then go into the same courtroom, that's the family law courtroom.
Yep.
So I automatically know that the family law rules of procedure rule 101 authority in court is for divorce, blah, 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 except contempt.
Right.
So I'm like, this is like a no-brainer. And so finally the deputy prosecutor, attorney from Department of Health and Welfare shows up. There's like 3 of them. And the one for my buddy here, he shows up kind of a little late. And, you know, when I first looked at the docket, there's 21 cases set to be heard between 9 and 10. And I'm like, how in the hell is she going to hear all this stuff? And then you know, after she kind of started talking, she came in and started talking and stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, so this is just the quick, easy arraignment stuff. This is all either let's make a deal. You're being charged with 6 charges of contempt of court, but we'll drop all of them and charge you with 1 and give you 30 days jail and suspend the 30 days and a year of unsupervised probation and like $450 in attorney fees and like an extra something per month to get caught back up. And it's like, what? Like some people actually took the plea. I'm just like, man.
It just makes you sit there and think, like,
I'm just
how
like,
the hell did they come
run around and just tell everybody? But you know, it was just a quick, let's make a deal, or how do you plead? We're going to set this over for trial, but you only get a court trial. You don't get a trial by jury, and so when I make my decision if you're guilty or not, I'm just like, you have no idea what you're about to be hit with, because I'm seriously going to push for abolishing the family law court. You don't have any jurisdiction here. And oh, by the way, these are bills of attainder. And oh, by the way, here's Idaho's organic constitution. And it happens to say that the original jurisdiction for the courts, where is this here? And said Supreme District Courts respectively shall possess chancery as well as common law jurisdiction. That's it. That's the only 2 jurisdictions the state of Idaho is supposed to be operating in.
Correct.
So, courts of law, and it says common law jurisdiction.
Right.
And courts of equity, because that's what chancery is. Imagine that. It's exactly in line with Article 3, Section 2. But I actually, after court today, went and sat with another local lawyer here, and we kind of hashed it out for like 3 hours. And maybe more than that. Anyway, yeah, I was reading. He's like, oh, well, that's just the organic one. That's just that one's not the real one. And I said, okay, you do understand how a state joins the union, right? Like, you have 4 businesses, your 4 little corporations there. I'm like, didn't you have to have a set of bylaws before you can enter into operation of your corporation? And he's like, well, no, we can adopt. And I'm like, no. You have to have a set of bylaws before, whether you create your own or you adopt a generic set of bylaws. When you create your corporation from the state, you have to have a set of bylaws before you can enter into operation. And I said, this is the process to becoming a state that has joined the union. You know, you're just a territory out there, and the people of the territory come together and want to form a more perfect union, and they petition the United States government and say, hey, we'd like to, make up some borders here and become a state. And so they say, okay, well, we'll take all these representatives from the United States of America, and we come over there and we set up government. We show you how it's supposed to function, because this is where Article 4, Section 4 comes in, about guaranteeing to all states a Republican form of government. They come in and they set up the state and show them, okay, these are the 3 branches of government. This is how they work. This is the separations of power. And in the meantime, they help them with this organic constitution.
Right.
And then they submit the organic constitution to Congress. And Congress decides, looks it over and says, okay, is this constitution, I don't know, it may actually go through the judicial branch. I'm not sure particular point at who actually scrutinizes the organic constitution, but somebody looks at it and checks against the Constitution for the United States of America. And if there's anything that's repugnant or wrong, they kick it back and say, no, you got to fix this until it's in compliance with the supreme law of the land. And then they take a vote to see if they should allow that state into the union. So it's the formation of a new state is by consent of the governed, the representatives of the governed at that particular point to join the union. So, it's not like what people think we just come together and draw out these lines, and that's our border, and we just sign on to the Constitution. No,
right.
That's not how that works. So that being said, once the state gets into operation, you still can't act outside of the supreme law of the land. And that's kind of what we argued about, is like how our form of government works, and going back and forth about the Constitution, and like, well, Article 6, Clause 2 says it's this Constitution applies to every single state. Oh, no. I'm like, look, how do you have? I don't get it.
Right.
This is how it's written. This is what it says. It does apply. If it says the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, and if anything in the Constitution or laws of the state to the contrary are notwithstanding, that tells me that this thing applies to the states, because this sets up our form of government.
Correct. And in other words, if you want to have access to federal monies, knowing that the concept of our government, system of government, is a limited government, right? Mm-hmm. Basically telling the government what they can't do, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, which is where we go back to deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Well, we said, okay, you can protect us from foreign invaders, so we'll let you have a military. That we'll let you do. Mm-hmm. But as far as the rest of this stuff is concerned, remember, the concept is in a limited government, which is what I was talking about on Monday. When you read the Supreme Court decisions, in various places within the renderings, you see in a limited government. Somewhere in that decision, the words in a limited government do appear. And the concept is what this person in government can and what they cannot do. So, and what the reason that is they don't want the government to become too big to where it becomes tyrannical. The Declaration of Independence. Why? Because we've already declared those acts as tyrannical, right? So that's why, having danced around this one particular word for 230 years, basically we were all sleeping, myself included, went about our daily lives, and we got up and we went to work and, kissed somebody on the forehead and said, have a nice day. And that was about it, and you went off and you did your thing. And you just took for granted that, somebody has actually read this thing and is doing what we put them there to do, only to find out not only were they not doing it, they were doing everything they could to obscure the stuff that limits their power while they seized power, right? That's, I remember my dad saying something to me when I was little. If you can't fit it into a piece of paper, chances are somebody's full of shit. I'll never forget that, because he's not wrong. So when you look at these bills that, they put forth, for these different laws, what is this law supposed to do? If you can't sum that up in 3 or 4 sentences, you're scamming. Somebody's scamming or gaming the system. And that's in essence what we've got with things like Obamacare, the Bradley Amendment, the best interest doctrine. I mean, we can go down the list. And because we have, quote unquote, trusted these people for all this time, we had no reason not to. Now we have a reason not to. So now we go back and we say, okay, here's our check and balance against that. And oh, wait a minute. Florida and Ohio, you're deficient in your contract to enter into the Republic. So because you fall below the minimum standard and the minimum requirement, Okay. You're not eligible for government monies until you conform to this minimum standard.
Right here.
This is term and condition of the contract. So that said, now they're going, well, we've become dependent on all this government money. What do we do? And, for now, until we, bring our state's constitutions and our state's government up to the minimum standard, because as it is now, we're not eligible for federal funds. So all of this Title IV money that these guys have been collecting all this time, guess what they have to do with all of that money? They have to pay it back. Crystal, mute your phone.
Hey, you guys over there, for some reason, when I'm muting over here,
our state's constitutions and our state's government up to the minimum standard, because as it is now, we're not eligible for federal funds.
Hello?
All of this
That feedback is coming from
collecting all this time.
I think it's Crystal.
7731. Crystal.
Yes.
We're getting feedback from your end.
Hello?
Mute your phone. You got feedback coming through,
There,
big
she's
time.
gone.
There we go.
Yeah, I just booted her. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. She got a lot of background noise there, and you don't even think she realizes she's doing it.
No, I don't think.
But-
Well, and this muting over here. I mean, it just doesn't do anything. It's not muting anybody.
Well, shit. Maybe we should do the co-hosts thing. That way I could mute them too, or I don't know. I'm not sure how to.
I'll be back.
We did have a caller there, and I was gonna say that we had a caller and ask him about a question, and then Crystal's noisemaker over there. Maybe she'll call back in.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
And the other caller, whoever you were, go ahead, call back in.
Darren says the Pennsylvania caller dropped.
Oh. Yeah, I know. I didn't kill that one. I was trying to get to that one.
Yeah. So, yeah, anyway, I'll try to carry on here until our caller calls back. So, anyway, what I did is I went through and I started to basically audit, what the law says and, what the minimum requirement was, and found this one deficiency called an emolument. Said, well, yeah, you're majorly deficient. Obviously, you're majorly deficient because all of our money, all of our equity is literally being bled dry, right? And it said, okay, well, how does this apply? So let's go back into history and see how we handled this in the past. And, the most common document or the most relevant document was the Declaration of Independence. So that became part of the table of authorities in my report that I submitted to the U.S. Congress to inform the U.S. Congress, hey, look, we got all kinds of mismanagement monies going on around here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, in the meantime, you're starting to see a whole lot of this. Well, yeah, I took money to pay off this woman for this scandal thing, and I was going to pay it back, but so do we see? Are we seeing some parallels here? Because I know I'm not the only one.
Right.
So, this is why when you go out and you actually testify before Congress, or you actually offer something tangible, and you're willing to put your credentials behind it, that means they know part of the terms and conditions of their very being is the consent of the governed. So
Yeah.
if you're one of the governed and you can walk in there and clearly articulate where there is something wrong, and here it is in law. Okay, you want to be eligible to be part of this republic. Well, you're deficient in this part of that program, and because you're deficient, no more federal money. So, what does Trump like to do? Him and I have that one thing in common. The first thing we want to do is go in there, cut that crap out. Yep, we don't need that thing. That's out of here, right? Ridiculous, wasteful spending. We don't need that. That's out of here.
Well, yeah, there again, he's a businessman.
Right.
He knows how that stuff's supposed to work.
Correct. We don't need
kind of aware of how loss prevention works.
Yeah. Right. So, why are we spending all of this money in these quote unquote agencies that really have no authority anyway? Mm-hmm. Right. Because like you said, states do not relinquish their sovereignty to the actions of an agency. Right. So
the agency's so creative.
Right. Why are we paying for agencies when they have no authority? Well, the answer is because they're attempting to pull what they're pulling now, which is, literally take over our system of government. And no. So,
yeah.
But that mismanagement of funds is written in law and carefully obscured for all these years. So we just came out and said, oh, yeah, this is a constitutional crime. And, here's how we're going to deal with it in this particular instance. So I took a very small piece of it. Thank God my case is small because it's nowhere near half as bad as half you guys out there. This boils down to nothing more than, I got custody of my kids and the judge up there is literally hiding the order by their own admission. So, it boils down to, one basic simple piece of paper and, a couple of other little BS circumstances that go with it, but it's led to all of this. So, I call this the perfect storm of crap because I have all the necessary credentials to unscrew this perfect storm of crap. But the storm that I'm going after is not a huge one. It's kind of small compared to you guys.
All right, so we got that caller back. Let's
sweet
bring him on. Hello, you are live with Kirk, Chris, and Ted's excellent call-in show adventure. Hello. 253. Who are we talking to?
2532. Who are we speaking with, please? Right.
You didn't mute him, did you?
Nope. I was going to say, I don't have you muted. It doesn't do me any good to mute anything over here anyway.
Oh, okay. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Yep, Pennsylvania caller.
Okay.
Well, I wonder if it's Lori. She said she was going to try and call back in. Anyway, so Darren's kind of making some side comments here in chat, and it's like our government basically is assuming authority, usurpation of powers, as a result of unrebutted presumptions. That's exactly the point.
Right.
You're exactly right. Somebody's going to keep stealing your bike until you tell them to stop. You catch them.
Right.
Okay. This stuff stops now.
Right.
So this is part of, what we need to do is tell them.
Right.
No, here's the law. You can't be doing that. This is the rule of law here.
Right.
So Crystal said she had actually found somewhere buried deep in the for that DOJ. I think she said it was still online. It's just buried now.
Right.
Online request or complaint for civil rights violation. That's the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, which is what we've put out several times. I started this back in January. You know, that's the first line of defense there. We need to start filing those complaints.
Yeah.
Those, you know, claims. They're claims, and it falls under suits at law.
Right.
Title 42, 1983. And that's what it is Civil Rights Division, and your, you know, deprivation of rights. So,
right.
Yeah.
So, I was hoping that Lori would maybe post her question here.
Yeah, she dropped again.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hey, if you don't mind, can I interject for a second? It's Darren.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Darren.
go right ahead, Darren. What do you got?
You're talking about the criminal complaint for violation of civil rights.
Yes.
All right. Well, I will tell you, I had experience with that. I did filed one, or went to file one with the federal court locally here. And when I went into the clerk's office, I had it all filled out. I just needed a judge to sign it so that I could get it, you know, moving. And the clerk said, well, you know, we don't accept those here. And I said, oh, you don't? Well, where do I turn them in? She said, well, just across the hall there is the U.S. Attorney General office, or U.S. District Attorney's office, I mean. So I said, okay. So
this has to go through the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice.
Well, let me just tell you about the little story here.
Okay.
So this was a federal complaint, basically. So I took it to the federal court, and they said, "Oh, go see the U.S. District Attorney over here." I went over to the U.S. District Attorney, and I, you know, asked him some questions, and he started getting all snotty with me, and I said, you know, what are you saying? And he said, well, you know, you need an attorney. And I said, wait a minute, why do I need an attorney? It clearly says it's a complaint form. I know I have the right to complain about wrongs that have been done to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you need an attorney. Well, right that time, the U.S. Marshal walked in, and he listened a little bit to the conversation. And I still was not able to turn it in. They just wouldn't accept it. They wouldn't take it. So I walked out of the building. Of course, the marshal followed me, walked me down the stairs all the way out to the door. And I was talking to him the whole time. And, you know, we got into this conversation about jurisdiction and whether or not he had jurisdiction to do anything about it. And pretty much the U.S. Marshal told me, whether he was accurate in his statement or not, that he didn't have jurisdiction to do anything about it.
What?
So, yeah, that's the kind of resistance I've been met with. The U.S. Marshal said that he could not do anything about it. Even if I turned in a complaint, he would not investigate it. I had to go to the FBI.
No. See, this is the thing. You have to go through the Department of Justice, because the Department of Justice is the head controller for the judicial branch of government. Right?
Right. And that's one of the reasons why these policy documents, these guidance documents that were literally tying the hands of law enforcement, which is why a lot of us were like, well, why the hell isn't somebody arresting these people? Well, the answer was, if you walked in and arrested a lawyer or a judge, not only would you get fired, you could be criminally charged. That's the way the guidance document was written. Well, that's not what the law says. You know,
right.
That is an encroachment of and a usurpation of power not granted them. So remember, no one is above the law. So the thing to do was to go in and kill those policies and procedures, which I talked about in my report, page 3, paragraph 6, I believe it was, where, you know, where I clearly stated that. Well, that's exactly what happened. That report went actually before Congress on October 10th, and November, 16th, right?
Yep, November 16th, 2017.
No, November 16th, the Department of Justice came out and said, yeah, no more of that. So, and, you know, Jeff Sessions went down and clearly stated, you know, look, the law says what the law says. So if you have a guidance document that leads you to believe that you have this authority to do whatever, blah, 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 that's in conflict with what the law says, ignore it. Basically, throw it away, right?
Veronica just filed a civil rights complaint online. So I think it's back up and running, because I know when I initially told Crystal about it back in January, and she went and did it in February. Took her like 10, 15 minutes to fill it out and send it online. And she heard back from them in a couple of days there, and they basically said, well, we're not receiving enough complaints here, so we don't have enough to go on to, start an investigation on anything. So, but we're going to go ahead and give you permission to file your federal lawsuit.
Right.
That's all you need. So, but the more complaints they start getting, the more likely that we're going to get them to do something. So,
right.
Everybody, anytime and every time that your rights are being deprived, file those complaints. And in fact, there is other sections of the DOJ there that you can file complaints on. Some of it's criminal, some of it's civil. The specific part that I'm talking about is the Civil Rights Division.
Right.
And that's just the deprivation of rights, basically, being deprived of a right, going civil first.
Correct.
But
here's what you do. You can also, if you can't find their form, all you need is a name, address, and phone number. Okay. And you need to follow their format. And their format is a cover letter, basically stating who you are and one or two sentences of the reason for the contact. And then you basically say, see attached, which is exactly how I did it. Okay. And come to find out, that's their format. So, but that's how we do it in business anyway. So how these things mirror each other.
Right.
So when I filed mine originally way back in January of 2000 and what the hell was it? 16 for the monopoly case. That's exactly what I did. I took and wrote a general cover letter to the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division and attached the evidence to it and said, look, here's what we know, right? We need an investigation to clear up these missing elements. And I gave names and dates and specific documents that I had numbers of, but didn't have access to the documents. So, again, following their format, okay, it just wasn't in their PDF, but the fact of the matter is it was structured in such a manner it might as well have been. And my original DOJ complaint is posted in my kids group. So, for most people that can't write paperwork like you can, Chris, including myself. The structure is there. So cover letter, and then
Veronica said she's got it. If anybody out there, Veronica, whatever, Francesca, if you guys have a link to that stuff, can you post it in here while we're talking about it, please? Unless you're watching on your phone, makes it hard for you to post. But yes, that's seriously. I think that's where we really need to go, is start filing these complaints, whether or not you have the ability to, take it to federal court yourself. The complaints need to be filed so they start accumulating. And once they get enough to go ding, 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 all right, let's go over there and check this city, this county, maybe the whole freaking state if they get enough in one state.
Right.
Like Ohio and whatever. Guys, man, New York. Can you imagine that one?
Oh my God, dude. I feel so bad for those poor people up there. Holy crap.
Yeah. The attorney guy that I talked to today, I asked him, I said, are you aware of how their court system is set up there in New York? And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, it's all in, he's like, it's all in one district court. Like, yeah, it's kind of weird.
I would be calling that shit the meat grinder, man. I mean, that's what that's what that thing is. It is literally a meat grinder.
District court. You don't have I mean, I guess it would be an appeal, but you're just going right back into the same court under a different judge. You're not actually going to, you know, a 3-judge panel for your appellate. And
yeah.
You don't have the Supreme Court of New York.
Dude, I'm just like, I actually had to reason because I actually didn't believe that. I'm like, how can you be deficient of one of the main principles of a Republican form of government? I mean, look at it. That's their entire structure is deficient from, their admittance into the Republic. Why the hell hasn't somebody come out and said that? Hey, New York, you're deficient in your judicial process, buddy. Buddy.
Yeah.
Like I said, here's the stuff I can't wrap my head around it.
They're just different back there.
Dude.
I say back there because I'm clear over here. Might as well be on the West Coast.
Right.
New York. Well, you guys are quite a bit closer than I am.
Right. And it's funny because when we first started doing this, I said, well, I got to teach people how to write this stuff. And it's not really that hard. I mean, I only appear to be as good at it as I am only because I've been doing it for so long. But I mean, to literally take and pull something off of a piece of paper and say, yeah, you're good, you're good here, here, and here, but you're falling short here, 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 and here. I think just about anybody can do that.
Yeah.
And, as far as, well, why is it when I send, because I get this question a lot, why is it when I send stuff to government, it gets sent back to me or it just doesn't get filed? And the answer is because you're not following their format, right? So their format is, like I said, you need a cover letter that goes to a specific office. So when the mailroom opens it, they can open and pull that cover letter and say, aha, this goes to this particular desk. It needs to go to blah, 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 blah. Put the cover letter background in there.
File not found.
Right. So basically the cover letter is designed to, number one, let the mailroom know where it's supposed to go. And number two, when it gets to that person can pick it up and look at it and go, okay, in a nutshell, what are we talking about here? Okay. And then, okay, that's cool. All right. What's the complaint look like? And then that's the second thing in your packet is your complaint form, right? And that complaint can be, the shorter the better. I always tell everybody use bullet points because that makes it easier for the reader to follow. Now, remember, you're speaking, you have to speak to, think of this in terms of you're the person going to be reading it and trying to interpret it. So though you know your case, the person to whom you're speaking doesn't know your case. So you have to speak. That's why I say it's because, number one, it helps keep you in check. You're looking at saying if you get a bullet point that's 3 pages long, that's not a bullet point. That's a
So want to clarify something here for Tanya. She said, so Fed doesn't have jurisdiction if DOJ doesn't get a complaint first. Is that what you guys are saying? I think essentially what we're trying to say here is file with the DOJ first so the complaint gets to them. So everybody needs to file complaints with them. They will tell you whether or not sorry, we're not going to investigate that. And see, here's the thing is, a lot of times people are told, well, you got to have an attorney for this. You got to have an attorney for that. This is what the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ does. If they take your complaint and say, all right, we're going to take this case on, they take your case on. They do all the paperwork. They provide everything for you. They pretty much do it for you. You just have to show up. You have to provide them with all the evidence and everything that they need. And, do the best you can to give them everything they need. They ask for it.
Copies, never originals. Let me interject that. 7 in big bold print. never send originals. Always send copies. And there's a reason for that. Because if the file does get lost, you still have your originals. For some reason, I don't even understand why people would send their originals out and then wonder why they never get them back. Okay. Know that when you communicate with a department, those papers are gone. You're never going to see those again. So, what you're doing by sending them a copy is you're encouraging them to meet with you so you can show whoever is in front of you the original. Yes, you have a true copy of this original, right? Mm-hmm. So they can go in and check it off and say, yes, that's a verified copy. That's a verified copy. And, that's basically you're prepping for your first meeting. And almost like getting ready to go to a job interview, right? So nice. When you walk into a job interview, you're not going to go in there and ramble on for 2 hours. Dude's going to be like, oh, please, dear God, let me out of this room before I jump out my window. I don't give a damn if I'm 90 stories up. So that's the, remember that. You're talking to the person, the person to whom you're speaking has to be able to interpret what you're saying. So keep it short, keep it clear, keep it concise. Move on to the next point. Yeah. On this date, this happened. On this date, this happened, so on and so forth. And if you can just do that, that'll get you in the door. All you got to do is get in the door. You don't have to go into the whole soapbox because that will kill you before anything else. You got to remember these people hear and they read how many of these things a day, right? So they're going to look for the person that is a reasonable person, somebody that's not spewing out sentence fragments and lighting things on fire. They want to talk to somebody who is, who can, speak clearly and concisely. And when you can do that, that makes you believable, right? So no matter what the circumstances are, if you can appear believable, you're somebody they want to talk to. So you are literally selling yourself the same as you would be in a job interview. So just bear that in mind when you're preparing your complaints. And if you want examples of how to prepare a cover letter or what format I used that basically got me the letter that says, okay, sue us, which is basically what they're going to tell you. Yep. And that's all it takes. That letter is also, matter of fact, that letter is in my complaint that I just posted, or the master file I just posted today. I got it on, let's see, it was June 6th or July 6th, hell, I forget, of last year, that they said, yeah, okay, sue us. Because it was pretty clear and pretty concise. So I had to finish the monopoly argument first, and then we went back to say, okay, now we got to talk about this emoluments thing. So the good news is I already paved that path, so that one's wide open. And all you got to do is just follow that nice, clear format, and you don't have to use a bunch of big, fancy words. Just speak. What do we say? The Queen's English, right? So, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, what's the matter? You don't understand the King's English,
right? And ultimately, just for giggles, I said, well, while I'm in the interim, I'll write a couple of these cases and I'll use my credentials, and we'll try this in a couple of states. First one was Texas. The second one was Utah. The Texas case took that judge 2 weeks to decide that, yeah, that case was pretty much BS and needed to be terminated. Now, why is that important? The importance of that is that puts him back in good standing. So when he goes before the court, there's no more of the silver bullet crap, right? We cleared that up. So when he walks in with his actual attorney that he's working with in Texas, he's believable. And not only is he believable, he's in better standing than where he was when he first walked in before they charged him. Why? Because he was acquitted, literally. And that case was, the the Silver Bullet case was not only dismissed, it was terminated, gone, like it never happened. So, you know, he's literally able to prove prosecutorial misconduct if push comes to shove. Now, we're trying to not have to do that, and the state of Texas knows that we're trying to not have to do that. We don't want to do that. We just want to get to the end of this sucker and be done with it. And I was hoping he'd be back from his meeting tonight because he's meeting with some basketball coaches, but looks like he's going to be running over. Typical meeting. It's like his Wednesday is my Monday. Mondays are crazy for me. But anyway, I wanted to have him on the show tonight, but it looks like we may have to have him on Monday's show. But and that's cool. But he's going to explain what that did for him and why that's so important to just, you know, skip the soapbox and just go down by the numbers. And I mean, that's really, ironically, that's all it takes.
Yep. And, you know, the more we start doing this, the better we are. Okay, I think she's trying to call back in again.
Wait. All right.
Okay, we're going to try.
Hey, Lori?
Are you with us, Lori? You're here.
We saw you come on.
I let you in.
Ironically, that's all it takes. Yep. You know,
Gotta turn your sound down in the background there.
That feedback is from her.
All right, I'm walking away from my cell.
Ah, there she is.
All right,
Yes, I'm here.
show.
Hi,
Hi, Lori.
guys. Hi,
Oh.
Chris. Hi, Kirk.
How you been, dear? Long time no talk.
Oh, my gosh. Crazy. I just want to let everybody know that this is what I tell my group. I mean, if you're going to file a DOJ, don't do it if you have not gotten a leg up in your case. Don't do it because you're going to look like a schizophrenic. You're going to look like all you want to do is attack the other parent. Wait till you get a leg up.
Okay, so
I'm just saying that.
we're trying to get more specific here is civil rights violations, deprivation of a civil right. So-
I've got them all over my case. Okay,
Right,
guys?
right.
And you guys know that.
Oh,
I've got
yeah.
them all over my case.
Right.
And
but
I
you're
have to
talking
get away
about
from my cell
acting
phone because it's
You're talking
reverbing.
about going after the state actors, the bad actors.
Right.
So when those
Yes,
people
and I get it.
their rights, you go and file the complaint immediately. I mean, technically.
Okay, well, in typically here where we are in Pennsylvania, we are going to be shunned, and we're going to be laughed at. And I tell my parents to avoid that until they get a leg up in their case.
No, see, we're talking about going to the
Guys.
DOJ, Department of Justice.
Well, I'm going to tell you, even judges don't uphold or enforce subpoenas. They don't uphold or enforce court orders. And I've got 6 violations on my own case and 3 subpoenas that have not been abided by.
Okay.
Regarding a report that needs to be on my record. And until I get that case, that report on my record, I can't go anywhere in my case.
Okay.
And
This is
so
what
I'm
we wanna tell
telling,
you.
go ahead.
This is
Go
what
ahead.
we would tell you. Those are the things. That stuff has nothing to do with your ex, right?
Right.
No, this is typically the family court system.
Correct. Those things that you're talking about, that's the stuff that you need to document clearly, like in a log.
Oh, it's totally documented.
Okay, that's great. That's beautiful. You can put a cover letter with that. Please find enclosed, you know, the list of, you know, stuff. And like I said, the format for the letter is in my group. You can find it. It's towards the bottom of the list of files.
Okay. Well, do you understand this is a complaint that was filed in June, and we have had continuances upon continuances, and now we're looking at January. Okay. We've also had 3. This is state.
Okay.
Actually, it wouldn't even be state. No, it would be your Erie County.
Okay.
Yeah, Erie County.
Okay.
Yeah, so what we're talking about is
I got away from the president judge. I'm with another judge, but there's nothing I can do.
Right. Well, there is.
that's what we're trying to understand here, sweetheart.
Right now, my child is at risk right now.
Right.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. This is what we're trying to get people to understand. Okay. If I walk up and kick you in the shin, you now have a right to a cause of action against me. Okay. I don't care what court we're in over here. This is going to the Department of Justice, United States Department of Justice. Okay. The Civil Rights Division.
Yes. And who runs that? Who runs that?
Okay, hold on.
Jeff Sessions.
Right.
No. Okay.
Okay. Right. And look what's going on with President Trump, and look at all the crap that's going on. Do you think they're going to give 2 shits about Erie County?
They are.
This is what we've been asked to do. Okay, folks. Jeff Sessions straight out said, get on there, file your complaints, and we are going to look into every single one.
Right.
So, again, go back to, this is a new era. Okay.
Right.
Trump, new president. This is actually the first de jure president we've had since Lincoln.
Right.
Okay. For many, 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 many years, we've been under this de facto president who's, I don't think any of them that we've actually officially elected lawfully by the people. They've all been appointed. Whether you want to believe that or not is a different story.
Correct.
But this is something, people keep asking, well, what can we do? What can we do? This is one of those things that you can do. So if I walk up and kick you in the shin, you have a right to a cause of action right now. Don't wait around till you're trying to build your case. The second that, it has to be an actual deprivation of a right. And you should have made your claims properly, you can't just walk into court and go, you're violating my rights. Now I have a right to a cause of action. Well, you may have a right to a cause of action, but did you file appropriate paperwork? Did you establish your grounds and your claims and argue those grounds and those claims properly? Did you get a notice of hearing? I don't know. I guess some states are a little bit different about this notice of hearing thing, but here in Idaho, this is our procedure. There's Crystal. Okay. You got to follow the procedure, file appropriate paperwork, raise your hand to be heard, and you'll be heard regardless of what that judge does.
Right.
You still have to make your arguments. Don't get all freaked out. Go in there knowing that, I'm just here to focus, put your blinders on, and just look at your paperwork, figure it out, what you need to say, articulate it good enough to put it on the record. Okay.
Right.
I don't care how the judge rules.
Right.
That's the deprivation of a right, and that's your evidence, because the record is your evidence. Not only is the record your evidence, but the documents that you have filed is your evidence.
Right.
So if you don't have documents that filed and you didn't make your arguments in court and you try to go to the DOJ and file a complaint, they're going to laugh you out of there because they don't have anything to go on. You don't have any evidence. You don't have a valid claim. You didn't properly exercise your right to due process of law. So,
right. And here's another thing, Kirk. Another thing people misconstrue. If you filed a document and that document was quote unquote stricken from the record or somehow disappeared or whatever, guess what? You still have, you can still show that, look, I did file this, right? And it was ignored. Okay. If they ignore or strike a document without sufficient cause, right? That also gives you right to a cause of action. And knowing that they don't have these guidance documents to fall back on, well, this piece of paper, this guidance document says that I could. No, that's not what the law says. And those guidance documents are now terminated, right? So those things that you're accustomed to, right? And the reason they did this was to get you all frustrated and all pissed off, so you would sound like they want you to sound, which is like a raving lunatic. Because if you sound like a raving lunatic, nobody's going to believe you. Nobody's going to want to hear you. So that's why they did what they did, right? So yes, it seems basic. Yes, it seems like, kind of a, like, where's my V8? I'd got to go ahead and wish I'd had a V8. But you have to know and you have to understand that there's a difference between the federal level and the state level.
Yes.
The federal level supersedes the state level. So, yes, you're used to getting trampled in state courts, but when you walk into the federal court, it's a new thing. It's not what you're used to. Federal court is more in line with what you would expect, what you should have had to begin with in the state court. So, and because that didn't happen, we're showing the federal court that that's not what's happening, right? And we're showing the federal courts where these states are deficient in their contract to receive federal monies. So, and I know it's hard, and I know the subject matter, especially when you're talking about your kids and your life, your job. I mean, it's you. It's what makes you who you are.
Right.
So, they do expect a little bit of that, but you have to do everything you can to try to keep that under control. And I know it's hard. Oh my God, do I know it's hard. I've been there, done that. I get it. But it is, it's very difficult to to differentiate the difference between state versus federal when you've been so deprogrammed at the state level. They'll say, well, you're not, why would I go to federal to just put up with more of the same crap? And that's another reason why the federal level doesn't know about a whole lot of this stuff, because by the time you get to federal level, they're thinking, oh my God, well, they must have made the right decision. I mean, this person's a raving lunatic. So I don't know. I hope that kind of helps you put it into perspective a little bit, but you don't have to wait for, like Kirk said, you don't have to wait for them to adjudicate at the state level. You can walk right in under the Title 42, and that's a tort. That's the reason it's there. It's a supplement to go in and say, kind of like the coach, hey, timeout, timeout.
And again, okay, you're not moving your case to federal court.
Right.
You're filing a separate independent action. And this is a separate claim basically headed towards federal court when you're going with the Department of Justice.
Right.
If you can articulate your claims and all that stuff in court, have your documentation all in order, and again, like reiterate what Chris just said is, we understand that you've been traumatized. Try to pull yourself together and understand that they're going to try and trip you up in court. But again, put your blinders on, look at your paperwork, say what you need to say, and just shut up and let them step into the pile of shit. Seriously. Because when it goes to federal court, or when somebody comes to look at it, they're the ones that stink. They're the ones that got crap all over themselves. Okay? But if you minded your P's and Q's and, try to do the best you can, they may pick up your case, or they may tell you like they did Crystal. You know what? We don't have enough complaints in your area to start an investigation, but we're giving you the go-ahead to sue these bad actors. Okay, so when you do file in federal court, the DOJ is going to say, oh, yeah, we already checked this one out. Take this one, Judge. you'd be surprised how that communication goes behind the scenes with those people. And the way things are going in our country, you know, at least from what I'm seeing, this is what we need. I mean, this is it. This is one thing that we can do. So if you want to get the attention of the Department of Justice and start getting these bad actors indicted, there you go. There's one thing you can do.
So, right. And it's, you know, this is why it's so difficult. And, you know, I know this is one of the reasons why it's difficult to do call-in shows, because, you know, the list of crap is so long. By the time you get to the point where we are right now, you know, it's almost impossible to get from point A to point B without telling the whole story. That's what you've been led to believe, right? That's not necessarily the case. All you got to do is say, on the first date, the first trespass of law, the first time they did this was this date and this time, right? That doesn't require a whole monstrosity of, of argument or of explanation or whatever. And the more of this I see, the more people, especially moms are the ones who are most inflicted by this, because, you know, women run their brain runs on emotion, right? Men can shut that crap off if we have to. We're built that way. And, this is one of the reasons that using them doing what they do against moms is like fishing in a bucket for them. You know, it doesn't take much to piss off a mom. Right. And they know, seriously. I mean, I know it sucks to say that, but, you know, that's one of the reasons why, you know, I actually don't mind working with moms. I actually, you know, it's like, because it's, believe it or not, because I can shut that off, I can look through all of that emotional stuff and go, this is what it is right here. This goes back to this, and this also goes back to that, and that also goes back to that, right? And so the more they're going on with the story, I can take and basically break it down to about 3 or 4 major events that led to all of this other victimization, because that's in essence exactly what it is. It's victimization. So
yes,
that again is another whole thing. But step 1 is knowing how to follow the format to be heard. And walking in the door and just going off the chain is not going to get you heard. That's going to get you thrown out the door.
So let's bring up the Jeff Sessions letter again. Kind of, I know we didn't really get to the Jeff Sessions letter, did we?
We started a little bit of it. We kind of went over parts of it. You did read some of it.
No, I read the Jeff Sessions letter. Mm-hmm. I think we should go back to the.
Post a link in the video post a link to the video in the comments, so people can see not just the words or hear, or read just the words. They can see the reaction that he got as he went through it. Right.
I could play my edited version of his speech if you'd like. Oops, this is in the way. Darn it.
Okay, Veronica, I thought you said you had the link, an online link. You gave me some link to some jump share. That's, in fact, I already have the civil rights complaint form in PDF already in the Kirk's Law Corner group. Right. So if anybody out there has a link to the website for DOJ, for the online version, you just take 10, 15 minutes and fill the complaints out. That's trying to do this as simple and easy for as many people as we can. This is all a pre-format laid out. All you got to do is fill in the blanks, again, have your paperwork and all that kind of stuff, because if they do call you back for this stuff and say, okay, well, what kind of evidence do you have? And you say, well, I've got it all itemized right here, and I've got this, and this, and this, what I have, they may take your case. But if they call you and say, well, what evidence do you have? And you're like, well, I don't know. I'm telling you what they've done. Well, what evidence do you have? Because you have to understand, when you go on the offense, the burden of proof is on you. You have to supply the evidence. And if you don't have your evidence together, or not much of evidence, of what happened, I mean, what do you expect them to do? I mean, that's just, the truth there. I'm not trying to be mean about it, but that's just the way it is. I mean, you can't ask somebody to do something for you if you can't give them the tools they need to do what you're asking them to do.
Neely says, well, I can print this stuff off and read it and do it. And the answer to that question is pretty much yes. And you can get the one from Kirk's Law Corner, which is the blank version. And you can go into my group, Neely, because I think you're a member of it. And you can download and you can print what I sent and see the similarities. This way, when you're filling it out, you'll know what to include and what to exclude. Because, I mean, let's face it, you don't need to go through the whole song and dance. All you really need is to show is one trespass of law. That's all you need to show is one. And when one leads to another one, and then leads to another one, and then leads to another one, that's when they're going to become really intrigued, right? Because you're focusing on the very first trespass, the one you can prove.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to find stuff that you don't even know exists, right? That's called the investigative process, right? The judicial process is different than the investigative process. The investigative process is kind of like what you see, on like Law and Order or, crime scene was it CSI or, whatever. That's when they check out the crime scene and, this piece of evidence gets bagged and tagged and stuck over here and blah, blah, blah. So, you don't have to go into all of that stuff. That's what we pay them to do. All you got to do is show on this date, this happened, and here's my proof of it. Right?
Yep.
And ironically, the less less can be more, because when you go in with not going into the whole soapbox, it puts it into perspective of, this person must really be beat up bad if they're not even seeing the rest of this stuff. We see it, but if they're not seeing it, something major's going on here. And we're going to need to, we're going to have to dump some resources into this. And that's where, that's kind of where we are in Utah. I did most of my investigation on my own. I'm only missing like 3, maybe 4 documents for my federal indictment. The rest of it's in plain view. So,
yep. And another thing too is, if you do get that phone call, they're there to ask you questions about your evidence and what you have. Don't go off on them.
Mm-hmm.
Even people we have on here, they start going off on us about their case, and it's like, whoa. That's the same reaction they're going to have.
Right.
You're over. We understand the emotional side of this stuff. Trust me. Okay.
I wouldn't be here if I didn't understand.
I feel it. That's honestly, that's part of the reason why I don't want to hear people's stories because I do feel it. It does affect me.
We all have our own, yeah, and it brings up a lot of memories for both of us. And
Well, I mean, it just stirs up, some certain emotions and makes me get frustrated and angry a little bit. It's like I want to try and do something. So I feel your pain. I feel your energy. I feel your emotions. I do. So this what we're trying to get out there and tell you. You got to try and keep your head straight. I know that you've been traumatized. Especially if you're talking about kids being ripped from you. Again, just to help you out there, I was the child back in 1985. Okay, I was taken from my family, put in foster care for a year. So I know that side of it as well. Uh-oh. People dropping like flies. Wait. Who'd we lose?
Chris, can you please just blank out your camera but turn it on for me? I lost my backup camera.
Uh-oh.
Well, I have a driver here, but I don't have a camera. I don't even have it plugged in.
Just the way you used to do it. Or Kirk, can you ask Chris to start his video? And then just say accept even though it's not on. Because my secondary...
Put him in the waiting room?
My secondary camera just shut off. It wasn't charging for some reason. There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Did it work?
Yep.
Cool.
Okay. All good. Oh.
So on the screen, I have that form. If anybody wants me to, I can send this to you in a message, or maybe I should post this in Kirk's Law Corner so you could just print it out yourself. But there's page 1 and page 2.
I have the the DOJ PDF for the civil rights complaint.
This is the civil rights complaint form.
Or is a link to the online.
Right, I don't...
Filing it online. Crystal says she found it. I think she said she found it. But she said it was kind of hard to get to. She had to do some digging. She said they hid it.
Right.
So hopefully before long DOJ gets that fixed and makes it easily accessible. And I don't know, maybe we ought to file complaints on that. Can you make it more accessible? Easily accessible? I mean, come on, this day and age, you should be able to go to like doj.gov, do a search for civil rights complaint form, boom, and it should take you right to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Should be that easy.
Yeah. Did we put, you did post a link to that in the comments, right?
Well, I don't know. My phone blanked out again. That's twice.
Yeah.
Oh, I
can expect it.
This isn't a link that I have. I just have this directly on my computer. I saved the image so people can use it.
Let's just see what I come up with.
If you want to post that in both groups, Ted, by all means.
I will. I'll do.
Backtrace it and see if I can find the actual PDF, because if it's out there, I'm sure it's online somewhere. I'll find it.
Yep.
And I'll go ahead and post the actual, if there is an
just sent.
Right. That's a good idea anyways.
It's basically an original copy.
Yep.
I'm actually looking on here right now. The Civil Rights Division. Yeah, the Civil Rights Division doesn't have one.
Yeah,
Not right here.
It took me forever to find this, man.
Prime, would that be?
They really don't want to make this easy. It was listed at one point, and then it was just gone. And they put it
there
under
was
something
one
else.
night we were going to get ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I had actually, like, maybe 2-3 hours prior, had just went to the website and went, yep, okay, here it all is. Or maybe it was a little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
But I
Is
like,
there a
okay, I
phone
found
number
it.
on the bottom?
A phone
I
number?
posted it.
I don't
Phone
think
number
so.
on the
Let me
bottom
look.
of it? A lot
I
of
don't-
times government forms will have a number, and you can look it up by that.
Found it.
Nice.
Online?
Yep.
Send me the link and I'll bring us
Working on
to
it.
it.
Is it under report a crime? Hey, fraud. Can you report fraud? Trafficking in persons? Can we
Hey,
do that one?
Well, that's actually what's happening, guys. They are trafficking in persons.
I do my kung fu in my in my little, what do you call it here? I'm going to see if my computer is going to shut off, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to post the link. There's the link to the PDF that I found. I just posted it in the comments. And I'm going to go back into Amber and Steven.
Reload my phone here.
And I'm going to write a post, add file. I'm going to post both the file and the link to the file, just because I like to be thorough. There it is. Okay. And Stephen. Here is the DOJ civil rights complaint form.
Now, is that a link to the online form?
Yep. That's a link to the online PDF. And if you don't have access to that, you want to just download the PDF. I just uploaded it into my group. Complaint form English 08 PDF.
Oh, okay.
There it is.
There it is on the
And-
screen.
Yep. On
Right.
the last page, the address gives you the address 950 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20530. It also gives you a phone number, both for the hearing impaired and a regular voice call. And it's short, it's 8 pages. So as long as you follow this format, you should be fine when you go to file your complaints with the actual United States Department of Justice, not your state, not the one in your state. Remember, one of the reasons we do this is because the state's mechanism is designed to defeat you. So what
This
we
is,
do is we're just going to leapfrog right over top of that, and we're going to go straight to the big boys. We're going to show the big boys we know how to do this, and we're pretty good at it. Watch this. So this is the stuff that I want you guys to be able to have access to. And I can't believe nobody's found this before now.
Oh, I have this. Like I said, I've already posted this. Long time ago.
Yeah,
I'm specifically looking for the online. I've already got this PDF. It's already been on Kirk's Law Corner for months.
The online, to file it online. Yeah, I haven't been able to find.
I'm trying to reach the people that really don't know how to do paperwork to even draft this complaint. And that's, trying to make it as easy as we can. And this is just fill in the blanks. And there's not, okay, number 5, what is the most convenient time and place for us to contact you about this complaint? You know, it's a short, sweet answer. You know, like Crystal said, it took her about 10 to 15 minutes to fill this thing out.
Right.
You have an attorney representing you concerning the matters raised in this complaint. Please provide the following. So they want to know if you have an attorney. To your best recollection, on what dates did the alleged discrimination take place? What was the dates?
That's why I said the timeline, right? I mean, it's right there in front of you. So when I say give you the timeline, you know, and just the people that are involved in that event, I mean, I didn't make that up. I got this stuff from them. So
number 9 here says complaints of discrimination must generally be filed within 180 days of the alleged discrimination. If the most recent date of discrimination listed was more than 180 days ago, you may request a waiver of the filing requirement.
Now, so, what you can do with where the word discrimination appears, you can white that out and write the word fraud.
Deprivation.
Right? You know, just because the form says discrimination, you can write fraud. So if you know, this goes back to if the form doesn't exist, you can create it. You know, establish justice. Okay. Well, here's the form that you guys recognize, but this is not a discrimination case. If it's not, I mean, if it is, then great. If not, cross out discrimination and write fraud. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's not.
It's the same thing with if you and your ex, you know, mended things and you wanted to get rid of arrears that were too excessive or you couldn't pay for, like in my case, $30,000. There's a form that the state didn't create, but they will recognize a form that you create yourself, and I have one of those as well. If anybody wants that, I should post that too.
Yeah, post it away.
I'll do that. I'll get to that after the show. I don't want to do any. I don't want to take away from the upload speed for the show. If I do that, then we'll really start lagging.
So we, you know, that's one of the nice things about fraud. There's no statute of limitations on fraud, right?
Right.
And by showing that the fraud is the thing that led to the deprivation of rights, okay, guess what? Doesn't matter what the deprivation of rights was, even if that particular trespass has a statute of limitations, the fact it was established by fraud, take their statute of limitations and stuff it right up their ass because it's not going to apply. So, you know, that's the great part about why you know, if you can, you know, just show the fraud. Where's the trespass? Well, this trespass, yeah, that's fraud. Bet your ass that's fraud. You know,
try this again.
So the original fraud may predate the event. It may be post the event. It might not be on the same day. So you post the fraud, okay? It was either a result of this thing or the fraud that led to this thing, right? Because it can go in either direction, right? It's not one or the other. And see, that's the nice thing about what loss prevention does is, I mean, we're premised in dealing with fraud. You know, you're going to tell a corporation that, oh, it's been 2 years since this fraud happened. You don't have the right to a cause of action to fire that employee. I don't think so. So, you know, it's what you would think would be kind of basic common sense. Believe it or not, it is common sense. It's just taking it and getting it to that level. So
if it's a continued deprivation of a right, then yeah, I mean it's still continuing.
Right. So
I mean, Lori, she was just asking, what if it's gone on for years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like what Chris is saying there, though, fraud, there is no statute of limitations on fraud, even though they will try and tell you that there is, there's not. That they give that illusion by putting it in the rules, a procedure, or in the statutes. Oh, well, you only got a year on fraud, or, like it's weird in my Idaho code, it'll say 3 years, but yet you go into the rules procedure and it'll say 1 year or 2 years. It's like, make up your mind. Where's the consistency here? This is supposed to be pursuant to the statutes of fraud,
right?
Not pursuant to the statutes of whatever we say it is,
right?
But again, I went over that once before. They rewrote the rules of procedure on fraud and consolidated fraud in with clerical errors and mistakes. So, oops, we committed some fraud there. We'll just fix that real quick. No. And then because of the limitations of errors and clerical mistakes is 1 year, they just lump fraud in there with it to give the illusion. Again, more of a telling you that, oh, you only have a year on fraud.
Yeah. The feed is all screwed up now. I was trying to answer some questions through the comments, but it appears that we might have been tagged by somebody who was whining and crying about what we're doing. They don't want us to know the truth. They don't want you to know the truth. They want you to be in the dark.
Yeah, my my upload speed just dropped dramatically for some reason.
Yeah, even my laptop's being funny, and I'm not even really running anything on it.
Yep.
My laptop, my phone, that's twice that it's shut off.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna shut down my my search engine. Hopefully that'll help.
We've been on for an hour and a half, and it's shut off twice.
Yeah.
Wait, Lori, she's like, where do you start? Start at the beginning.
Yeah.
The very first instance. And I guess, I don't know if it's been that long. I would go with the one that's, even Darren's telling me massive connection issues with fraud, with Facebook.
Right.
With Fraud Book.
Good way of putting it.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's weird. I got the message on my phone, and about 6 or 7 seconds later, I got it on my laptop.
Yeah. I got some private messages. What do we got in PM here? Let's see. Here's original PDF for parents to file a civil rights complaint to federal government. Let me log back into my computer because my phone is being stupid about it. And that was from Veronica. So thank you, Veronica. And
yeah, it says that us guys are super slow and breaking up. So
yep.
Lori says it's her. She's been tagged.
Yeah,
it's bad. We've got like almost a 20-second delay between what we're doing in Facebook. It hasn't been that bad in a long time.
Right.
Yeah, it's bad.
Wow, that's nuts.
I'm down from a standard, 1,600 kilobytes a second to like 100. Now it's up to 400, 121, 375. Really poor. Now it's up to 1,000, 1,400, 2,000. All right, now we're cooking. 2,500. It's really back and forth.
All right.
1,500 and up is good. Anything below that, or even 1,000 is okay, but 400 makes it skip like crazy.
Right.
So we're
obviously doing something to cause a concern.
Oh, and by the way, this is why, like tomorrow for the New Hampshire Christmas Suffrage March, I'm gonna be streaming in 360, but Facebook's 360 stuff is really sketchy, so I'm going to be broadcasting to YouTube only with the 360 camera, but there'll be live feeds on Facebook from other people. It's only going to be, the temperature has dropped now to 22 degrees forecasted for tomorrow, with wind chills in the lower teens to single digits, so it's probably going to be like maximum 3-hour event, I'd imagine.
Right.
FYI.
Oh yeah, Facebook's being funny. I just lost Messenger on my Facebook on my laptop.
Yeah, dude, this is craziness.
So somebody was saying here about bullet points. Can we kind of give some ideas on bullet points? So short and sweet stuff like I filed this motion and this motion was denied.
Right.
Here's the evidence that I provided. You know, this is what happened, you know. And the judge denied it. Well, that's a deprivation of a right.
Correct.
That's a right to due process of law, and, you know, seeking justice and remedy.
Trying to download this PDF, and it's being really stupid about it.
Well, maybe Facebook is rebooting their server.
Yeah, maybe they're just pissed at us, or both.
I was blaming it on the storm, but everything went back up, and as soon as you started talking about the form again, it dropped. Right now, 0 kilobytes a second. 128.
Wow.
This is nuts. 129. 520.
Okay, so how about them bullet points on the morph?
All right.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to keep talking. I hope you guys can hear. Bullet points are the best way to do this is to, that's why I tell everybody, you know, put your timeline together and you can go down through and say, on this date, this happened, and here's a document that goes with it, right? So you have not just a statement of claim, you have a piece of evidence, okay, that supports that statement of claim, right? Which takes you above the plausibility standard. In other words, is it plausible that this happened? Well, I'm looking at a piece of evidence. I would say that's pretty plausible. So that gives you probable cause, right?
Yeah.
And you basically just follow that format and just repeat it and just try to keep those bullet points as short as you can. You know, any more than 4 sentences, you know, or 4 lines, or, you know, maybe 5 lines, it's going to start turning into a run-on. And you're going to figure out that as you put this together, you're going to look for it. You're going to learn it forwards and backwards, and you're going to remember, oh, wait a minute, I remember this. Oh, wait a minute, I remember that. And it's going to jog your memory of stuff that you've forgotten just because you've been so upset of everything that's gone on. And, you know, it's going to actually help you tell the story just in bullet points, right? And when the reader starts reading these bullet points, they're going to look down at this thing and go, yeah, there's definitely a timeline. And if there's a timeline, chances are there's collusion in there somewhere, right? So you're
Yep.
leading them right where they're dying to go, right? And all you did was just say, on this date, this happened, here's the document. On this date, this happened, here's the document. So on and so forth. And you don't even have to go through and tell the entire story. All you got to do is just show what you can prove.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll get you, that will get you through the door. What you do once you get through the door is going to make or break you.
Yeah.
And civil rights. I'm posting something here in the group. Whoops.
Well, Ante's being quiet over there. What do you got going on over there, Ante?
Okay. So, all right, that other one's posted that Veronica sent me. I went ahead and stuck that in the group, so you guys can preview that, download it, fill it out, whatever, if it applies. And
Wasn't that the same one?
no, it's a different one. This is a let's see here. Oh, right, civil rights. Da-da-da. This is the formal citizen complaint, Department of Justice, civil rights. Oh, this is what somebody sent. Well then.
Oh, you got one that's already filled out?
Yeah, I'm trying to get through it now with the computer and everything being all screwed up. I'm just now able to get in and try to view it. And I think this is an example. It looks like an example of something that was already done. So special litigation.
Man, it sure is taking an awful long time to download that.
I know, isn't it? It's well, this is what happens when you're doing something that actually helps solve the problem, right?
Yeah.
God forbid we would be able to come on and tell the truth?
Oh,
no, you're not.
That's odd because you didn't have a snowstorm in Ocala, Florida. I don't understand why your download and upload speed would be.
This is not a civil rights complaint form.
I'm checking it out now. Did you get it?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay. This is an example of somebody. No, this is a response.
Somebody from Tampa just joined. I just recognized the 813 area code. Who just joined us from Tampa?
I don't know. Let's bring them on. What do we got here? Okay, you're live with this. Who do we have here tonight? 7815. 7815. It looks like they're talking.
Hello?
There we are.
There we go. Who do we got?
Hi, guys. This is Kimberly Johnson.
Oh, hey, Kimberly. How are you?
I'm doing good.
That's good.
Welcome to the show.
It is basically you guys are given instructions. What you're just trying to get across, or what I'm hearing you say, is keep it short and sweet. Do bullet points from the the latest incident, not the latest, but the first incident to the, last incident, the newest incident.
Chronological.
Keep it short and sweet. Right. Keep your audience. I went into meetings with the Attorney General. I went into meetings with the Senator. You lose them if you start rambling on, and they do think you're crazy. You can't do that.
Right.
You don't need to have to repeat something over and over. They hear you. But to get your foot in the door, you can't go blah, 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 blah. It's not going to work. It's just like with judges. They don't want to hear a 5-hour rant about this parent did this and this did this. It doesn't work.
Right.
You have to take, and when they're talking to you, if you get your meeting, what you do is, and I'm going to let you gentlemen agree or disagree. They ask you questions. Don't start to try to talk immediately and interrupt or anything like that. Listen to their question. Take a couple seconds. Answer it. Short and sweet. If you can get by with a yes or no, do the yes or no. Just tell them the facts. It's as simple as that, right?
Correct.
Right, yeah, it's not story time. Story time's when you get to go to court. What you got to listen to exactly what she's saying. Listen to the question they're asking you, and stop, think about the answer in your head, and try to articulate it in the shortest, sweetest. Hey, what was the date of the first incident? Well, we went to court and I don't know. No, they're looking for a date. Not that kind of date, but
Right.
And
you cannot go in there.
People, they don't have time to mess around. They answer to their question, short and sweet.
Right.
And if you score the meeting, hey, maybe practice in front of your family. Let them ask you questions. Right?
Right. Call me. I'm pretty good at this stuff.
Exactly.
You can call me.
I was going to say, I'll play devil's advocate for you.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be great?
That's right. Don't be afraid to say, good morning, Judge, or good afternoon, Judge, or, thank you for your time. I know your time is valuable. Don't be afraid to, thank them for their time. Matter of fact, I highly recommend that. Right? You want to make sure that, you remember you're selling yourself. This is a job interview, right?
Right.
Why am I the better choice of parent, or why am I the better, the more believable person in this situation than the other side? Knowing that they have an advantage. Okay. If you can go in there and pretty much blow them out of the water, they're saying, remember, the claim against you is blah, 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 blah. And you go in and say, good morning, Judge. How are you this morning? Wait a minute. That's not what I was expecting. Right. So you just sold yourself, and you basically didn't even have to talk about your story yet. All you did was say, good morning. It sounds so basic, but just common courtesy, believe it or not, common courtesy, common law, it's, like I told Crystal, super mom, what makes you better, the more believable person, right? Why would I pick you? And, that's what I always, mom wears a cape and flies around and pulls kitties out of trees and stuff like that. They're expecting you to walk in and say, well, my ex is a blah, 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 blah. And when you don't do that, they're standing there scratching their heads going, where did you get this allegation? A Cracker Jack box? Right? So you can literally kill their case and not even mention it if you do it right. So
exactly. You're exactly right. And the more polite you are, the more short and sweet you are, the more you appeal, the more they want to listen. They will ask you exactly what they need to know. Exactly. Like, for example, you said, what's the date? Answer just the date.
They're not going to listen to, well, this person did this to me. They don't care, because that paperwork says they don't care what any other person in that case did. It's what you did. So when you present yourself, you better just think about you. And then, like you said, you got a leg to stand on, because they're expecting some wingnut from left field to come in there. And if you lose your cool, if you try to beat them over the head with it, you have just lost. You lost them.
Yep. Right.
So you want to be calm, cool, and collected. Practice in front of your friends, family. You, Chris, Kirk, call you. And just be calm, cool, and collected. And go in there, and you're just talking to another person. It's just a person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, just treat them like you would mom. Exactly. Just like you would mom. You're just talking, provided, you don't talk to your mom like that. You know what I mean?
If I wasn't anything but kind of respectful of my mom and dad, I can tell you right now, I'd still be picking my face up off of the floor.
Right? You don't want them to want to put hands on you. You want them to listen to you. And this is the important thing I found.
Yeah.
When you're doing this, remember, it's not just you that you're representing, because you could get other people shot down because of your actions. So, for example, when you're talking about CPS, you might have 5 other parents, families, grandparents, whatever, coming behind you. Make your argument, but don't argue. Have a solid way you go in there. You practice run it. If you have to practice it 10 times, do that. But don't shoot everybody in the foot behind you, because I've been in court too many times where literally the person in front of you can make or break that judge's whole day. And if a judge gets pissed off at, victim number 5, right? And he has to go off on somebody, and you have to go up with your case following that. He's not in a good mood. She's not in a good mood, whatever. So you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot or anybody else in the foot. And you got to listen too. It's just like in court. Judges like to talk. They like to hear themselves speak. They don't want to see people in the audience, looking at their phone, chit-chatting with somebody next to them, falling asleep. They're looking for eyes. They're looking that you're dialed in.
Yeah.
Right.
And
that's all. Same thing in a meeting.
If they make a joke,
if you get to the Department of Justice,
funny, laugh at it. They see you laughing at their jokes. They know you got a sense of humor, and you're human. I mean, just like today, I was sitting in there in court, and we had a guy in there. Can't remember what language he spoke, but it was like totally impossible for her to have a conversation with him. Like, he couldn't even understand the word calendar. It just, didn't understand English. So she's like, forgive me, because I have no way to figure out how to communicate with this guy. We don't have an interpreter here. But how did he know to come to court? And then it's like, do you understand me? And he shakes his head no. Like, I don't know. But yeah, try go sitting in on a couple court hearings and watch how other attorneys talk to the judge. You'll
absolutely
find they're yes, Your Honor. How are you doing today? You're almost like a monotone. It's like no waver in their voice.
Yeah, think Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Bueller. So that's what they want to hear. They don't want to hear a bunch of loud screaming craziness. And, it's just absolutely crazy, because, we're trying to, get things going, and we want to make sure that, when we speak and when we, share these things, we want you to succeed. We know the states want you to fail. That's not why we're here. We're here to show you how to do it the right way, which is what you expected when you paid that lawyer or that attorney, whatever, I know Kirk likes to back and forth with the lawyer attorney thing, so I always yank his chain. But
they're borrowed ponies,
right?
There's the one that are more on the wall.
I love you, Kirk. But you know,
see my face when I said that.
I know, right? I'm sure you did. But you know, and that's just it. You know, remember when if you do decide you do want to take and go to the federal level, you know, remember you're starting at square one, right? Knowing that you've been beaten down and literally gone through hell, they expect a little, you know, they expect a degree of it. Just for the love of God, please just don't fall into it. Because that's exactly the thing that they designed for you to do. And, you know, that's not what we're about.
Your actions and your behavior in front of them will dictate how they treat you. Trust me.
Right. I mean, look at it this way. Your actions and your behavior, if you're calm, cool, and collected, completely debunks every word, syllable said about you at the state level. And you haven't even opened your mouth yet. So, you know, if you go in, you know, if you do get a meeting, dress nice. You know, guys, shirt, tie, slacks, you know, ladies, whatever it is, you know, the best thing you got in your closet, you know, doesn't have to be, don't do little black dress, obviously. You know, dress like you're going to a job interview. And
that's exactly right.
This is the stuff that I was kind of hoping to get Nate on here to explain, because had he not gone over in his meeting tonight, this is exactly what he's been doing in Texas. And he's got meetings with everybody. And I do mean everybody. So, you know, it's not that this can't work. It does work. Just got to buckle down and, you know, suck it up and do it right. You know, show them what we're made of, right? We're not the scumbags they're making us out to be, and I can prove that. So,
absolutely.
What's that? You'll get more flies with honey. I say I'll be a and stand.
That's right.
That really is true. You know, you don't want to go in there. You don't want to be phony, something you're not. Just be yourself. And if you're, say, high strung, just dial it down. Keep your voice down. You know, wear your nice clothes, like you said. Don't overdress like you're going to Cinderella ball.
Right.
But yet, you know, wear something comfortable, because you're going to be talking. You don't have time to mess with your clothes. Feel comfortable. Don't rip out of there the day of and you got to fuss with this other stuff, really.
Right.
And I'm just saying that FYI, because those are things that you don't think about for us lay people. It's like this. Those are things you may not think about, but these are important items. You want to be comfortable. You want to be pleasant. And by all means, if you're not a pleasant person, try real hard. Mm-hmm. You're representing all of us, and we don't want to look like fools, because we're not. You're a parent. Talk to them. I even have asked the Attorney General, you're a parent. I want to talk to you parent to parent for a minute. And that doesn't mean blah, 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 blah. It means, you know, just take a minute. Just talk. They're real people, but they're just the same as you.
Right.
And like you said, Kirk, you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar. And you'll get it shut down right away. This is your one big opportunity. Don't waste it. Practice, practice, practice.
Right.
No. Well, that's why I said call bullshit, Dan, because, you know, flies like bullshit.
Right. Yeah, we're Yeah, it's obvious that we're getting hacked or something, because the feed keeps going crazy, and every time I try to log into it, the little circle starts spinning. And
yeah, I think we're pretty much. Well, my phone froze up, so that's the third time it actually froze up.
Right.
Mine did too.
I just shut my laptop off.
So,
well,
guess what?
Guys, just saying that we really appreciate everything you do. This information is very valuable. It really is. It helps a lot of people.
That's kind of the goal. I mean, that's the reason why I started doing this, because, when I realized that I wasn't excluded, this wasn't just me, this was happening to, and I started to meet all of you, it was like, okay, it's time to buckle down and go to work. Because guess what? This isn't just me. This isn't just my two. This is all of them. Well, that I can speak that. I'm used to running, working in maintaining, corporations worth billions of dollars, and that's with a B, not an M. It's, this is, believe it or not, it's my comfort zone. I'm not comfortable unless there's pressure on. So the more pressure for me, the better off I am. And it helps keep me focused. And believe it or not, I think it's helped me do a lot of what I've done. So, and I'm just warming up. So,
yeah.
Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you for calling in. We really appreciate it, and we're glad to know there are others out there who are, who are seeing the light and knowing and understanding the reality of our situations. Because, believe it or not, it makes a difference for all of us. It really does.
It does.
It does. You're really right. All right, guys. Have a good evening. Thanks so much.
Thanks for calling.
Articulate this stuff without getting super emotional, so you can actually have a conversation with the judge or anybody, representatives.
Right.
You can't be all half cocked and I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely get what do you call it? Passionate.
Green freeze.
Passionate.
Yeah. That's a good word.
You're just really passionate about the law.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. I am. I love America. Our values that we're supposed to have, that are, our morals and principles, those kinds of things. I don't care if you're religious or not. I mean, you just think about the principles. You just can't say that any of those are bad. Thou shalt not kill. That really can't be that bad of a thing. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Really, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't know how you could construe that being a bad thing. But, that's just the basics. Basic morals and principles out there. And that's what we've lost in this country. The basic morals and principles of our country.
Right.
Anyway, well, thanks for trying to tune in tonight. Those of you that were able to make it hang out and get through it all. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for those that came on, Kimberly, and tried Laura a couple of times.
Yeah, we did try. So
overall, it was good. There was probably 3 spots where it lagged so bad that it stopped.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to give Lori a call and see if I can figure out what happened. And because she was there and then she was gone, and then it was like crap. So
yeah, let's see. DOJ letters.
Yep.
Did it drop?
File your civil rights complaint with the DOJ. All right, we're still at 1,600.
Right.
I don't have the form up
I
again.
didn't ask how we did on tonight's show. I figure that sucker probably tanked.
Well, let me, thanks again, everybody, for watching. Let me wrap this up and... Oh, tomorrow, noon o'clock in Concord, New Hampshire, for the New Hampshire Christmas Suffrage March. It's going to be cold, so put your layers on. I know, if you're in Idaho, you probably won't get there. But if you're anywhere in New England, you can get there by noon tomorrow. Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all.
Okay, love you guys.